Your name is about as confusing as our movie today, Malenka
Yes.
or Fangs of the Living Dead.
Yeah, Malenka.
I've seen a version of this movie where the ending is different, so I'm kind of
apparently
confused.
In the original Spanish version,
Or Virgin.
this was all fake because the uncle was trying to get the fortune of the cat.
Okay, spoiler alert, everybody.
Woof.
But anyway,
Yeah.
But even in the version I saw, it was partially fake anyway.
Yeah. Because some of them were up during the daytime, and
no, the girl put the fangs in at the end. Remember, at the end of the movie, the one that I saw at the end of the movie, the waitress, the barmaid that got killed, that wasn't really dead, Diana Lorys. She's putting fake fangs on at the end of the movie when the guy's being tortured in the dungeon. She's putting. Is that the version you saw, or you saw a different version?
No, I watched the one you sent me with Chili Billy.
Oh, see, the version that I saw is different. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, I did that Chili Billy. I put that together.
That was great. And I was watching the commercials. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? There's no friggin' medicine or pharmacy commercials. It's all like regular stuff. I'm like, oh, this is what TV used to be like.
No. I did that because what happened was
cool.
My friend years ago. I have a couple of other ones too. He got from somebody in Pennsylvania or at a convention. All they did was make the Chili Billy segments and the commercials, and then they took the movie out and they gave it so you would actually put it all together.
Your own movie?
So put it all together as close to it as the show as possible, and that's what I did. I took a print of Fangs of the Living Dead, and I just edited it from what it looked like. The fades were going in and out, and I put the Chili Billy segments at the end. So.
It was perfect, man. That was perfect.
Now, you didn't see Chili Billy when you were a kid, did you?
No, he was in
Pittsburgh.
Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Okay. No, we had
That's
Zachary.
right, you were in New York.
Yeah, we had Zachary on I think 11 Killer Theater. And then on Channel 5, they didn't necessarily have a host per se. They had this guy, Lou Steele. He had this deep voice.
Oh, really? That's kind of cool.
Introduce things and talk about stuff. But
well, the version that I saw was Malenka, the niece of the vampire, and it turns out that those vampire girls aren't really vampires.
See, the movie I watched, they were vampires. The vampires were real. So, you saw a different. Wow, this is cool.
Because
By the way, before we go further, are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording the audio.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that. Yeah, I'm recording the audio. Yeah, we're like 9 minutes into it or whatever.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no. The version that I saw was at the end. Well, we'll get to it, but anyway,
yeah,
they're not vampire. Well, maybe some of them are, but not all of them. Anyway, talk about Fangs of the Living Dead then, and Chili Billy too. Chili Billy was a horror host, was really famous in Pittsburgh. My friends in Altoona could get it too, so every Saturday night they would watch it. Apparently, it was like a huge show, like Pittsburgh and some of those areas. It was the #1 show. As a matter of fact, from what my friend told me, the station there, the NBC affiliate, wouldn't show Saturday Night Live because Chili Billy was doing so good.
Popular there. Yeah.
But then after about 4 years of SNL, they threatened Chili Billy people, said, if you don't show, Saturday Night Live at 11:30, we're going to take away the affiliation from you. So then they pushed Chili Billy back to 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Even then he was popular. He would play like 2 movies or whatever. So, it's a pretty oddball show. I mean, it's kind of like, huh? With some of the jokes and some of the.
Oh my God! Terrible jokes. He looked. It's as if. He was like you take a Las Vegas MC or something.
Yeah.
On a little horror show. So it would be
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how you watched it as. So.
Yes, it was good. It was fun. I mean, that's how I used to watch these movies. So that's why, like, when I do Tubi, sometimes I watch them on, and Tubi interrupts with commercials. It doesn't bother me because I'm used to watching it like that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so this movie starts off with Anita Ekberg getting a message from distant relatives saying, "Hey, come to the castle. You got an inheritance coming."
What I saw started, this doctor and his friend, they're doing something. I forget, some kind of.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Then he's doing an operation, and the wife calls him, or the fiance, and she says, "Oh, I have some news. Can you come over?" He goes, "Oh yeah, sure." So then she comes over, and she's dancing around, and apparently they let her know she's a model for bikini wear and stuff. And the guys, they're supposed to get married in a week or so, and the fiance is like, "Oh, well, that's very nice, but what are you going to do?" So I have to go to the castle. My father died, and apparently I'm a countess, and I have to go to the castle and claim my inheritance. And he's like, "Yeah, but we're getting married in a week." Apparently the castle's somewhere in
Transylvania,
Hinterlands.
Oh, Switzerland. Yeah, it did look kind of Swiss. Yeah, it did.
Some place like that. So, and this is a Spanish movie, so it's not.
It is. It's from '69. Yeah.
So there's not as much cleavage, but still plenty of cleavage.
There was. The one did. The one showed. The vampire chick.
So she and the fiance, well, the friend of the fiance, he's sort of the comic relief. He's sort of making fun of her. Say, "Oh, you're going to be too good for us," whatever. So she travels to this town, and she goes to a bar, and she's like, "I need, I'm thirsty." And "Oh, we'll get you a drink and stuff." And there's two sisters working there. One's a redhead, one's a brunette, and she's talking to the brunette and says, "Oh, we'll take your bags upstairs." And says, "Oh no, I'm not staying here." This is Anita Ekberg. I'm staying at the castle. And
everybody's looks like, "Oh, the castle."
They all get shocked, and they back away from with their backs to the wall and stuff.
It's like Dracula,
Yeah, and then suddenly this big tall guy with sideburns and a goatee comes walking in, and he goes, he calls her name. What's her name in the movie?
It's not Malenka. It's oh gosh, Malenka was
Sylvia.
Malenka was the
mother of the aunt. Yeah, Sylvia. And he takes her suitcases. You go into the castle, and everybody's all freaked out and backing away. And then they ride up to the castle, and he's like, "Stay here." She says, "Oh, is my uncle here?" And he's like, "No, your uncle doesn't get up till late." So then it's nighttime, and she's dressed, comes down to dinner, and they see this skinny uncle come, and he's being all mysterious and weird, and she kisses him on the cheek and goes, "Oh, you're so cold." He says something. But then
when she gets to the castle, right, yeah.
So she wants to know about her. She sees a portrait there that looks like her, but with dark hair, and he's telling her about. I guess that's Malenka, and he's telling her about how.
She was a witch, and she was into some black magic or something, and.
Right. What do you call it? Necrobiology.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So they're at dinner, and they just finished dinner, and she's.
Yeah, the uncle can't see her till 10 o'clock at night.
Right. So then she's asking for more questions, and he says, "Well, let's." Oh, she wants to see the grave of her mother, I think.
Yeah.
Because apparently the mother was burned as a witch too. Something.
They show that later in the movie.
Yeah, but they don't. It's kind of vague what is and who Malenka is. Is Malenka the grandmother or her mother or whatever?
Yeah.
Anyway, he takes her down to the crypt, and he's showing her around the various places.
Malenka was the wife of the guy. Of the uncle.
Right.
She was his wife.
So she's not really his uncle. Would be his grandfather, wouldn't it? whatever.
Whatever.
So
Yes.
they're down. Yeah, they're down in the crypt, and he's talking about how he was doing.
Yeah, the black arts, doing some
the
weird,
black arts and stuff.
weird science, I guess, would be a way to.
So she gets all freaked out, and she goes, "Oh, I'm tired. Let me go to bed." And so she goes up to bed, and he, she's in her nightgown and stuff, and then suddenly this door opens up.
A big bosom vampire girl comes in.
Yeah, dressed all in black negligee, whatever.
The women were pretty cool. The women looked pretty good and looked pretty cool in this movie.
Did. So they were very pretty. Spanish, at least Europeans, I shouldn't say, Spanish women are pretty.
European women can be pretty.
Yes.
Too.
So she sneaks into her room, this vampire woman, and he's talking to Anita Ekberg and telling her things. Oh, don't believe your uncle. He's a vampire and stuff. So anyway, as they're talking, he's like, "Oh, I'm here. I'm your friend. I'm here to help you and stuff." And
yeah, and she's like, well, I think was she the one that got pulled away after a while, or was that later?
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, you're very tired."
Yeah. She's like getting close to her.
Ekberg's like, "Oh, yeah." But then as Anita Ekberg lays down, the vampire kisses her on the shoulder, and Anita Ekberg's eyes immediately pop open.
Yeah, right.
And so then the uncle comes in and says, "What are you doing here?" And then he grabs her and pulls her away, and it's back through the door she came in. So Anita Ekberg's, hears her being dragged downstairs. So apparently there's a lot of stairways to the crypt.
Well, it was a cool looking castle, but yeah.
Yeah. So she walks down and she's hearing her the vampire being whipped, and she goes, "Stop! She was just being nice to me. Don't do that to her." And the uncle was like, she shouldn't do what she's supposed to do, and
yeah,
and the girl's like, oh, and he takes her down and stuff.
There's a lot of whipping in this movie, especially at the end.
So then let's see.
Yeah, Anita Ekberg was getting past her prime in this movie, but she still looked good, but she was getting she was past the ingenue phase and getting into the MILF phase already of her career, so she was getting into the B movie realm of her career.
And apparently she was a bit nutty.
Yeah.
She would go around claiming that she made Federico Fellini famous because she was in his movies.
Yeah, she was in some famous movies. She had a lot of affairs and stuff like that, yeah.
Well, it's the next day, and Ekberg's talking to the uncle, and that's when he starts telling her the history of Malenka, I guess it's the grandmother witch, and how she was into the necrobiology arts, and she studied Arabic, and
was she trying to bring back the dead or keep people from dying or something?
You watch her, she's at her laboratory and she's reading, paging through a book, and you see the uncle, he's lying on a slab with a cloth up to his neck, and then you see the villagers coming in and they're with torches and they're there's a
flashback sequence. The sepia tone flashback sequence,
So they grab her and tie her up. They grab her outside to the court and tie her up and burn her as a witch. And then it flashes back to the laboratory's on fire. Then you see the uncle. He opens his eyes. So I guess the implication is that you brought him back from the dead, although they don't explicitly say that.
No.
In the movie.
No.
So then she's, she's like, "Oh, this is strange and weird," and So he goes, "Well, I can show you the results." Oh, something like, "Oh, she wasn't successful." He goes, "Oh, yes, she was." He says, "I can show you." So he brings her back down to the crypt, and he opens this coffin, which is the coffin of her husband. And at first Anita Ekberg doesn't want to look, and then he goes, look. So she turns around and looks, and the coffin's empty. She goes, oh, whatever. And then he reveals the husband of Malenka. She's like, no. And I don't know if he shows her his fangs yet, but
no.
She's like, oh, I can't stay. She goes to run away, and she gets blocked by an iron gate. And he says, this whole family's cursed. You're cursed, and if you leave the castle and live elsewhere, the curse in you will get worse, and you'll start attacking people and stuff. So you have to stay here and break off your engagement. So then the next scene is the fiancé reading a letter saying, "Oh, she sent him saying, we have to break off this engagement," and gives a vague reason. So then he goes to.
He's got a pal too with him.
Yeah, he and his friend. Yeah, the pal who was making fun of it. So they travel to
undisclosed country with a
undisclosed Vania.
Yeah, right.
And they try to get in, and the big henchman with the goatee and the sideburns is like, "No, you can't come in. She doesn't want to be disturbed." And the friend's like, "Oh, come on, fiance guy. Obviously, since she discovered she was a countess or whatever the hell, she's gotten too big for her britches." So as they're talking, they're looking up at the castle, and they see her standing in front of a window looking down at them. So they, the fiance waves to her, and then you see her, and she starts to lift her hand to wave to him, but it's like because she realizes he can't leave and she can't marry him, well, the curse will get worse. She sort of stops herself.
Yeah.
So he's like, the friend is like, "Come on, let's go. She's not worth it." And fiance is like, "No, they're keeping her captive. Maybe they gave her drugs or something." And then the henchman walks in. She's about to wave to him. So the henchman walks in with the dress. He goes, "Your uncle wants you to wear this." She's like, "Okay." She's very passive in this movie.
Who, Malenka? I mean, yeah.
Anita Ekberg.
Yeah, she is.
So they go to the village inn, bar, whatever, and where Anita Ekberg first went in, and they're having. That's where they're going to stay. They're having drinks and stuff, and the one waitress, dark-haired waitress, sister, who's the redhead. She's like, "Oh, I'm not." The redhead goes, "Can you look at my sister? She's not feeling very well. She's she's very sick."
Yeah.
And she seems very pale. So he looks at her and he's like, "Well, you got anemia and this and that." And then the sister walks in. "Oh, well, I'll close the windows and she hangs garlic on the wall." And then the goofy friend, he starts sneezing. He goes, "Oh, garlic makes me sneeze." He walks in. So, it's all very weird.
I mean, this movie is campy and kind of played for fun at times,
Yeah. So they're downstairs, and they're the sister's talking about her sister being the dark-haired sister being a vampire, and he's like, "Oh, you don't believe in those superstitions?" He goes, "Oh, yes, I do." And then she hands the doctor a book. "Here, read the book on the history of what's going on here. Then you'll see." And then the scene switches, and it's the dark-haired sister, and suddenly the uncle is there in her room, and he's like, they're talking. She says, "Oh, when are you going to take me away from here?" And he goes, "Oh, soon. I was going to do it this week, but with Anita Ekberg getting here, it kind of throws things away." She's like, "Oh," so she, she reaches for him, and they start kissing, and she exposes her neck, I guess, so he can
bite it
and stuff. Yeah. Well, he kisses her. You don't see him actually bite her, but that's the implication.
Yeah. And at some point,
Then,
doesn't he make her drink his blood and she spills it or something like that?
That I think is later on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or maybe in the scene. You see, we watch different movies.
We watch different movies.
The same movie, but different cuts.
A different
so
edit.
anyway,
Yeah.
The fiance and the friend are in bed. They're not together, separate beds. They're in their room and they're trying to go to sleep. And before that, the fiance
was that when the bat shows up on the window?
Yeah.
Wall,
so the fiance was reading aloud about the history of the place, and the friend is like, ugh. So then the fiance starts to fall asleep, and the bat appears at the window.
It's a huge
and the friend's
bat.
like, a giant bat, and the fiance is like, oh, you just. You're just imagining things. And he goes, I read about bats and you start dreaming about them.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, oh, do me a favor then. Can you read me something about pretty girls?
Yeah.
So then the redheaded sister comes in and goes, come quick, my sister's, something wrong with my sister. And the doctor, fiance, goes in and he looks and goes, oh, she's dead, so he closes his eyes. And the sister is like, she's going to turn into a vampire. And he goes, oh, don't be so superstitious. Says, didn't you read the book? And then the doctor appears. He's down. I think the doctor was the village doctor.
Yeah.
Was the one who pronounced her dead. I'm not sure.
You're talking about the barmaid, right?
Yeah, the dark-haired barmaid.
The dark-haired Anna Lorys is her name and real name.
Okay. So then the doctor fiance is talking to the village doctor, and he's like, well, what's your he says to what's your prognosis? Oh, she died of anemia and this and that. He says, that's mine too, but there's something else. So the village doctor takes the fiance doctor up, and he pulls her hair aside and shows 2 bite marks in the neck. And he's like, oh, that's preposterous. And the village doctor's like, no, it's real, it's true. So then, the friend's all jumpy, and you keep hearing noises outside and stuff. And he's all freaky and weird and whatever. And then the next day, you see the coffin. They're burying the dark-haired barmaid, putting her in the ground, and goes back to the castle, and the uncle, he's cutting his hand and pouring it into a
goblet, a shot, whatever.
Now you drink this, because apparently you got to be turned into a vampire
by drinking the blood of a vampire.
Yeah, something like that. So then he's trying to get her to drink it. She's like, no, 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 no. And then there's a knock on the window. It's the dark-haired barmaid who's supposedly dead. So he goes to the window and sees, it talks to her, and he's like, oh, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. And she's in a hurry to get away wherever the hell they're going. And then Anita Ekberg, in the meantime, she throws down the goblet, but she pretends she drank it. And then the uncle starts running after. No, she didn't pretend to drink it. She threw the goblet.
She threw it away. Yeah, she didn't drink it.
So then the uncle starts chasing her through the castle, and she ends up again in the crypt somewhere, and she finds the dark-haired vampire in the black dress who's chained up again. She says, "Oh, your uncle was whipping me again." And she goes, "Oh, I'm looking to escape. Help me get out of here." And the dark-haired vampire girl goes, "Well, you got to go through the crypt and go past it, and then make a right and go down this tunnel, and then you can get outside." So she's like, "Okay, come with me." And she's like, "I can't come yet, but I'll follow you." So then you see Anita Ekberg running through dark, weirdo tunnels,
which are pretty cool.
Yeah, and at one point she gets to the crypts, and then suddenly the gate slams closed, on her, and she's like, oh, and then you see a coffin lid trying to
open up. Yeah, that
so
was
she,
cool.
she gets the gate open, she runs down more tunnels, and then she comes to a gate to the outside. She slips through, and then she finds the dark-haired beer maid there, and they're talking. She's like, like, what's going on and stuff, and you see the beer maid suddenly like opens her eyes, and she's got
The
fangs. And Anita Ekberg goes, no! And she starts running away. And let's see, it goes back to the.
Well, the boyfriend and his buddy get into the castle at some point towards the end.
So she goes back to the. She runs back to the inn in the village, and there you see the fiance barman and the friend talking, and then they're there, and then the redhead barmaid, she comes in and she's like, I don't know, my sister's grave is empty, and then there's she's a vampire, she's out and stuff, and then you hear a knock on the door, and she's like, don't open it might be my sister, and then the doctor's like, this is the doctor fiance, this is nonsense. So he opens the door, and then it's Anita Ekberg, and she's telling him all that's happening, and he's a vampire, and the boyfriend's like, this is nuts. He doesn't believe her, and of course the funny friend, he's going, this is weird, let's get out of here and stuff. So then the doctor comes in. The doctor comes in, and they're talking to him and trying to find out what's going on. And he's like, well, we have to put a stop to this. And another guy comes in and he goes, the dark-haired barmaid, and a villager comes in. She's on the prowl. We gotta stop her. We gotta bury. And the doctor goes, we should have buried her the old way. So the village doctor, the fiance doctor,
all these people,
goofy friend, they go out to the cemetery to basically drive a stake through the heart of the dark-haired barmaid.
It's complicated, man.
Yeah,
way too complicated for a goofball movie. You know what I mean?
Anita Ekberg is staying at the inn. So anyway, they're out there, and the doctor is like, we got to get the grave open, and the the fiance and the friend are like, this is stupid, and so the doctor's like, well, okay. So he's like, there's no proof of this, and the doctor's like, okay, we'll move over into this sort of little area under a little room or something in the graveyard, and we'll watch. So they're there watching, and suddenly you see the top of the coffin of the big stone slab on the grave. It opens up, and then the dark-haired barmaid crawls out, and they're like, I don't believe it. And then it switches back to the inn, and then there's another barmaid and the redhead barmaid. They're cleaning up, and then there's a knock on the door, and the big henchman walks in, and starts wrestling with the
with one of the guys.
The redhead.
With the redhead barmaid. Okay, yeah.
To tell me where is she? And she finally says, she's upstairs. So then the boyfriend and the friend, they find out she was taken to the castle. So they all go up there, and the fiance confronts the uncle, and he goes to Anita Ekberg, you have to come with me, and she's like, I can't come with you, and the uncle, I don't know if they somehow the uncle captures the fiance. And,
and he's going to torture him.
Right, and then in the meantime, the dark-haired vampire girl in the black dress. She starts,
she's sitting there,
walking
and the buddy hits on her.
Right.
If I remember correctly.
Yes, and the buddy hits on her. So then the fiance wakes up. He's shirtless. He's chained, and the uncle is talking to him. Yeah. Then the dark-haired barmaid vampire brings in Anita Ekberg, and she's acting like she's hypnotized. And
the vampire wants her to bite her boyfriend
on the neck, and it looks like she's going to do it. And then she kind of whispers to him, "I'm pretending to do this."
Right.
Then what happens? The dark-haired vampire girl comes down. The dark-haired barmaid vampire is standing on the stone steps, leaning down.
Yeah, and the other one comes down.
Watching the scene. And then the dark-haired vampire in the black dress comes down.
And they have a cat fight.
They start fighting.
Yeah, they have a cat fight, yes.
And, of course, the uncle is distracted, and he's yelling, "Stop fighting! Stop fighting!"
And in the meantime, what's her face? Freeze the boyfriend.
Right. So he
Anita Ekberg. Well, I forgot her name.
Yeah, Anita Ekberg. So he gets free. He grabs the distracted uncle, punches him. The guy falls in a chair, and then he reaches over, grabs a stake, a torch, and he stabs him with it. And then you see the uncle suddenly go, and he starts to die, and he turns into a skeleton.
Right.
And then you see flames, the flames in front of the painting of the
Malenka. Yeah.
And then you watch as the guy slowly turns into a skeleton, and then it's the next day.
This whole scene the next day was not in the version that I watched, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. The next day, the fiance and the Anita Ekberg are leaving, and the friend's walking back, and behind them, and he's looking at the castle, going, "Oh, so long, castle." And then as he's walking, a hand reaches out and touches him. He freezes and he looks, and then it's the
blonde-haired barmaid, right?
Right. So she's like, "Oh, are you leaving? Maybe you can take me along." And so it turns, and she's getting all sexy, and then you see it's the friend. Something opens his mouth. He's got fangs, and then he starts chasing the barmaid across the bridge, and then it's the end.
That's not in the version that I saw.
Right.
I don't know what they did. They redid it, or they took a scene. The version that I saw ends with the vampire getting disintegrating. Right. Plus, in the version that I saw, the blonde-haired barmaid, the one that was supposed to be dead, the one Diana Lorys, he's talking to her while the guy, in the torture thing, and she goes, "Oh, okay." She's putting makeup on, and then she puts on fake fangs.
That's even weirder.
So it's even more confusing. So was he a vampire, and he had these females that worked for him or whatever, but pretended to be vampires and weren't vampires? I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange because in the one I watched, apparently when he was flirting with the dark-haired vampire in the black dress, and they were necking, apparently she bit him and turned him into a vampire.
Apparently, but
then why is he running around in the daytime?
Yeah, apparently she bit him and he turned him into a vampire. But in the version that I saw, he goes, "You want to go to Rome with me?" She goes, "Oh, I'd love to," and then that's it. That's the end of that scene or whatever.
Yeah. Strange.
So this movie, obviously, from what I read, this movie the funding was cut at a certain point, and then they had to go back and finish it. So I don't know if they added that funny ending at the end where she turned him into a vampire or whatever. I don't know, but it's definitely different from Fangs of the Living Dead, because I remember watching the Fangs version that from Chili Billy, and it did have that goofy ending at the end.
Right.
This one just cuts off.
in the original Spanish version, it was all a hoax, and the guy wasn't really a vampire.
But he turned into a vampire because if you know what I mean, he could when they stabbed him, he disintegrated like a vampire. So
yeah, that apparently that was filmed later. So maybe you got an even different language version, which had a different which happens sometimes. A lot of times in Europe, they'll film alternate endings and scenes because each country seems to have a different
rating system or whatever.
Yeah,
for gore and violence and sex or whatever.
Right, and take on what they want and what they want to present and stuff.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Obviously, there's two different cuts, possibly more.
Yeah.
Of this movie.
You know, one may be the English version they showed in Europe as opposed to the one here in America, or maybe it was TV cut versus a
Fangs of the Living Dead is definitely an American TV cut. Well, I'll tell you. No, okay, no. Here's the story about this. There was a triple feature that came out. Oh God, what was it? It was a triple feature, and it was in theaters, and it was kind of famous. It was they changed this movie into Fangs of the Living Dead, and then there was it was three movies. It was a three-featured movie, triple feature that had three different movies that were retitled of the Living Dead. It was Fangs of the Living Dead. Oh my God, I gotta like remember. I'll let me look it up, and I'll edit it, and because it was in the early 70s.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, like Fangs of the Living Dead, Fangs of the Werewolf.
No, it all ended with Living Dead. It was like, let me look it up right now.
I see. Okay.
I'll edit it right. I'll edit this right now.
Okay.
Let's see here. Fangs of the Living Dead. Murder Clinic was the other one, and the other one was I think it was a Christopher Lee movie, and I can't think of which movie it was. But anyway,
well, it says here, Curse of the Living Dead was by Mario Brava.
It was Kill Baby Kill.
Oh, okay.
That was it. Kill Baby Kill.
Okay.
It was Malenka, Kill Baby Kill, and the Murder Clinic.
Okay.
Those three. And they were they're all three kind of tame movies or whatever, but they made a big, some producer got, some distribution got all three of them, and they made a campaign over. And there's a very funny trailer for it, where people are coming out of theater, and the guy's like, so what did you think of this movie? And then this one guy, like, people are like walking away, and one guy just starts laughing maniacally or whatever. It's a classic. It's a classic trailer. It's a classic trailer. Yeah. So yeah, that was back in the day when they actually went out of their way to do shit like that to promote a movie or whatever. But yeah, one of those movies, Kill Baby Kill, was always around. Fangs of the Living Dead was always around. But the Murder Clinic was hard to find for a long time, but I believe it's now out on DVD. So there you go.
I've seen that one. I think I've seen all three.
The Murder Clinic, maybe not, because that one was it might be on YouTube, but that one was hard to find for many years. It was Italian. Yeah, that one, the Bob one was Italian. Malenka, Fangs of the Living Dead, is Spanish. It was directed by Amando de Ossorio. It was from '69. That and this Malenka and the first Nazi werewolf movie. Those were some of the first horror movies that restarted Spain's horror boom or whatever. It was I think the Nazi one was here called Frankenstein's Bloody Terror. That's another weird campaign where Sam Sherman needed a Frankenstein movie, but all he has a werewolf movie. So at the beginning of the movie, he goes, "And the Frankenstein monster turns into a werewolf, Wolfstein," and I'm like, what? Sam Sherman promised the distributors a Frankenstein movie. It was a werewolf movie, so he came up with the idea of doing this prologue where, like, the narrator and some animation talks about, and the Frankenstein monster turned into a werewolf. He's Wolfstein now, and you get the first Paul Naschy movie, which is cool. You know, so yeah, there was all that. There was all that shenanigans going on back then, but yeah, this was part of that triple feature. That's right. It just dawned on me right now. You know, it's just like I had completely forgotten about it. So, you know, but it's a fun movie. You know, if you're like into like castles and vampire chicks and it's like you said, it's a complicated plot for some reason or another. I don't know why, and
it's not a very long movie either.
No, but the one that I saw, I think, is longer than the one you watched. So, I think the Malenka, the whatever it's called, Malenka, we'll just say that, it's a different cut of it. So it's the same storyline pretty much.
The one I watched was also the one you cut in the
Chili Billy segment.
Chili Billy thing. So it's obviously a TV cut. So I think it was even shorter. So I think there were some scenes that were cut, which happens a lot. You know, they'll cut a movie down to allow for commercials, and then they sometimes cut out without thinking, or maybe
part of the movie
without caring. They'll cut out a part of the movie that'll explain something.
Because they don't care. They're just putting movie as filler for.
Exactly.
It's a scary movie for the night. 69. This movie is.
And when you're a dopey kid, you just want to watch.
Yeah, you want to watch a late night creature feature. You know, and this fits the bill. This is exactly what that is. I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
So Amando, the director of De Ossorio, went to fame, quote unquote, doing those Blind Dead movies. Those zombies, those monk zombies, the Templar Knights zombie movies. Those are pretty grim and grisly, but this is way tame for. But
back then.
Yeah, back then it was like it was like a Hammer movie. There wasn't any real vampire biting a neck and blood spilling or anything like that. It was all very much because I think Spain had real strict censorship rules, Franco regime that ended like, a few years later after he died or whatever. But some of these guys like Nashi would do the Spanish version, pretty tame, and then they would do the European cut or whatever, which was nudity and violence and all that stuff. So they got away with all that stuff. So but like you said, every country got a different cut of it. The German version might be gorier. The American version might be gorier, less gory, but more sexy. They'll cut out scenes. They will cut out scenes that will make the movie even more incomprehensible.
Yeah. Yes.
As incomprehensible as it can be with the direction, it could be even worse.
And then those films would be bought and then further cut up.
For television,
drive-ins, television, late night television, early. Yeah, so a lot of it's, and they would change names.
They would exactly.
So
they used to put 90-minute movie. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sometimes they would take a 80-minute movie and put in a 90-minute time slot. So imagine they got to take like 10, 15 minutes out of the movie. Which was ridiculous, but that was a creature feature time slot, 90 minutes, so do what you can. That's why the Universals were good for creature features, because they were 70-minute, 60-minute, 70-minute movies, so no problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and not only would they cut it down to fit the time slot, but also they'd have to fit in a certain amount of commercials.
That's it.
So it would, I think back then, it would be something like 50 minutes of TV story time to 10 minutes of commercials, and then it went down to 45, and then now it's like 40, I think.
No, and then sometimes at night the commercials would be public service commercials, like my favorite being the one where my favorite being the one where it was like this nice song, and it was called VD is for everybody, and you see all these people like dancing and singing, and I'm like, what? Yeah, and the smoking ones and all that.
Yeah, the cut I watched had this. One of the commercial PSAs was they had this weird looking puppet talking to this guy. He's got like a sweater vest on and a white shirt underneath, with a little porn stash and 70s hair. Yeah, and she's talking about her dad she hates her dad because the parents are divorced and he's not around anymore to do stuff, and he's like telling her, "Oh, don't be, Dad. He really loves you still. He's away, and he can't, all this." And then what? And it's like creepy as hell. And apparently they used this puppet to do various PSAs for various kid problems.
Did that one that you have? Did that have Mr. Yuck?
I don't think so.
Mr. Yuck was the one where it was about kids don't eat poison, but it was this creepy little cartoon or whatever, and I was like, wow. And
it did have this.
People used to get scared. So anyway, we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and in the meantime, Roddy.
In the meantime, watch more B-movies.